Hi, very good morning, everyone. This is Vineet Pandey, and it's after Holi. We are live. I wanted to do live in Holi also, but most of the students that texted me that because of Holi we are involved in family things, and then in the evening we are having visitors, and even I started having visitors, so I understood that it's not possible to go for a class. So today I am going to discuss two important things. Most of the students they know these things are related to post-colonials. Today I'm going to explain you what is Orientalism, a concept developed by Edward Said, and second thing, can the subaltern speak? Another concept developed by Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak. Because there was a question in NET exam that what do you mean by strategic essentialism, a term which is coined by Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak. So, first of all, we talk about Orientalism, a book which was written by Edward Said in 1978. This book deals with the idea of the Orients. Who are Orients? So, according to Edward Said, the world is divided in two parts, the East and the West. But what name he is using is Orients and Occidents. So, the eastern part of the world, the later discovered part of the world, is called Orients. The Westerns, the West side, the Americans, the Europeans, the West part, that is called Occident. Occidents are affluent, Occidents are rich, Occidents are powerful, and Occidents are people those who were in search of Orientals. So it is a fact that we have been discovered by Westerns. America was discovered by Western, then India was discovered by Westerns. Then those Westerns they have discovered North Pole, South Pole. Like we know, all maximum discoveries are done by the foreigners. So Occident people, why they were Occidents? Having a civilization that helped them to be settled in a proper colony, having a proper society. And when they started going for explorations, they took our culture as inferior culture, as a mean culture. And they started calling us inferior, savages, tribals, or they can simply say, like, if you remember the concept of Rudyard Kipling, Kipling said that this is white man's burden. When we were protesting against the white people, we were protesting against the Britishers, we were protesting against the atrocities done by those. There was a writer who was having a different opinion. Rudyard Kipling said that it is our duty. We people are wasting our time to civilize you. You should be thankful to us. He said कि आपको हमको thank you बोलना चाहिए. This is white man's burden. We are white man. We are superior race. We are better race. We are better people. And white man's burden means this responsibility has been assigned to us to civilize you. So we are not colonizing you. We are not snatching your gold. We are not taking your culture away. We are actually making you a part of Britain. We are making you the part of Western culture. And this is how we are helping you. So Edward says concept of Orientalism, their myths, their stories, the cult, everything has been studied from the Western point of view. The point of view is always important. If you're looking at something and your perception is negative, you will find out the negative things. If you're looking at something, your perception is positive, you'll find out something positive. When the Westerns and they came to India, they or we can simply say when they came to India or other Eastern countries, they found our civilization having a lot of flaws, a lot of issues, and gradually they started hating us. They framed a lot of stories. If you remember the stories of incarnation, the stories of blind faith, the stories of rebirth, all of these things have been developed by the Orient people. So they started exploring our culture, they started exploring our things, they manipulated our language, they manipulated our dreams, and tried to control us. Moreover, the concept is that the mindset of Orients and the mindset of Occidents are totally different things. आपने एक चीज नोट की होगी, you must have seen this thing that in Western countries, the people they keep traveling. The young guys, they're just traveling, they're traveling the world. In India, it's not possible. In India, you have to go to the school, go to the college, then get a job. Then, once you get a job, you have a social and moral duty to get married. Once you have married, there is another pressure to have a kid, and then there is a pressure to take that kid to a school, then take care of your parents. So, technically, in India, we have a different culture. We are emotionally bound, we are bound because of morality, so we do not live like you are always studying and reading till you're 25, till you're 26, till you're 28, and then the moment you want to breathe, all of a sudden you are married. and then you moment the you want to breathe again with your wife, all of a sudden you have a kid and you have no life left. So is it possible that this kind of guy can become a Vasco da Gama? अगर वास्को डिगामा गवर्नमेंट जॉब में होता तो उसको एप्लीकेशन देना पड़ता, ही सपोज टू गिव एन एप्लीकेशन इफ वास्को डिगामा वाज इन गवर्नमेंट जॉब, and then to travel, then to show all these responsibilities, then his wife would call, where are you, when will you come? So this is, the concept is that Occidents, they have different opinion. What they believe is that if none can do, I must do. So the concept is, if one can do, I can do. If none can do, I must do. While the Indian concept is quite different. If one can do, let him do. If none can do, how can I do? So थोड़ा सा यहाँ change है, different opinion है. But Edward Said is the first man who studied the difference between the Occidents and the Orients. And this is the reason that in 17th century to 18th century literature, you will find a lot of Indian references, and you will find out they're talking about the Oriental references. For example, Robert Southey, his Oriental romances, Thalaba the Destroyer. If you remember Alexander Pope, he says India's glowing gems unlocks and all Arabia breathes from the yonder box. So ये Oriental का reference दिया हुआ था. Now the second point is Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak's concept of can the subaltern speak? First of all, what is subaltern? Subaltern का जो definition है, the definition of subaltern is that people those who are marginalized. The easiest way to understand is the people who do not have voices, people who do not get benefited by government policies, people who are far away from the stream of development. Like we have people in cities, we have people in villages, but if they are the part of government, they are read, understood by the government is taking care of them, they are not marginalized. But if there are people, they are left and like on their own, and they are not even being counted. Imagine in India, do you think that the beggars of India have voter ID card, Aadhaar card? Do you think people will care about their own ID cards? No. And even if they have the ID cards, I think that is only for the fake voting system. What about the Banjara people? What about the nomadic people? You must have seen Banjara people, nomadic people, those who are simply traveling with a horse, with a cart, and staying outside of the society, outside of the village, mostly begging, showing some performances and earning. These kind of people, they are not even being counted. They do not have their ID card. They do not have their Aadhaar card. They are not being even counted in the population of India. So what about their life? What about their voices? What about their culture? Do we ever, let's make it simple. Have you ever read any story of a beggar? Do you have any biography of a beggar in India? In fact, I suggested one of my student to go for a PhD on the beggars in India. Take their first note. But I told her to be safe because most of them criminal होते हैं. Most of them, not all, but most of them. Because they are very much, vulnerable to these things. So imagine, have you ever read any biography of a beggar? Have you ever read any autobiography of a beggar? Or the third gender, mostly on the roads, when you are driving, the third gender comes to you and they ask for 10 rupees, 20 rupees. And then our social morality and people, they have taught us that not to have fight or argument with the third gender, so give money. So isn't it a kind of blackmailing? Because I have seen people paying 500,000 to get rid of them. So technically, do we have any autobiography of a third gender? I'm sure there is. But do we have any PhD done on third gender? This is also one of my suggestions to a student to do these things. Now question is, what about their own voice? The pain, suffering, their cultural references, their identities, their understanding, their perception towards life. Do we have any literature related to them? So this was the reason that Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak, she is a professor in Columbia, she picked up this point and she said that can the subaltern speak? And here she took the famous example of Sati tradition in India. Many of you don't know Sati tradition in India. Sati, S-A-T-I, Sati. Sati tradition in India, I can make it easy by telling you, if you have seen the famous movie Padmavat, where Shahid Kapoor was there, Ranveer Singh was there, Deepika Padukone was there. So especially the student, those who don't watch movies, they'll understand what happens in Padmavat. When the husband is killed, the lady, the wife, to protect her, dignity to protect herself from the enemies, invaders. Immolates, she goes for a self immolation. खुद को आग लगा लेती है. She burns herself alive. That is called Sati tradition. That's a religious thing. Now the question is that it's religious, okay, but what kind of religion is this? So the question comes that most of the people, they were praising women for being sati. So the newly married women, they were overburdened to be a sati. Is it really easy to put oneself on fire? I don't think so. Like when sometimes I try cooking, my fingers they get burned. So I wonder like how people go for these kind of things. So the best answer can be given by a sati. Who can tell me this thing? Sati. What is the motivation to be a sati? Only a sati can tell. What are the social burden to be a sati? Only a sati can tell. What is the feeling during the burn? Only a sati can tell. But do we have any sati alive? If they are dead, then only they are called sati. So if they are dead, who will speak for them? The other class, the educated class? No, it is not the first hand information. If you are explaining somebody's pain, you cannot justify that pain. Let the person speak who is in that pain. So Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak, she questions that do we have any sati to give the first hand account of this kind of sati tradition? No. So technically the voice never got a chance to be voiced. उस वॉइस को कभी मौका ही नहीं मिला आगे बढ़ के बोलने के लिए. एंड अदर्स आर टॉकिंग अबाउट देयर वॉइस, अदर्स आर फाइटिंग अबाउट देयर वॉइस. यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड दिस थिंग इन इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल मूवी दीवार. गरीबों के नेता कभी गरीब नहीं होते. द लीडर ऑफ द पुअर पीपल आर नेवर पुअर बिकॉज दे आर ओनली लीडर, दे आर नॉट पुअर. So they have a lot of things to speak, the dialogues and everything. Have you ever seen any leader of any community, any gender who is poor? No. So गरीबों का नेता खुद गरीब नहीं होता. So this is the concept that if the person has to speak the truth, the person should go through that pain. So only a sati can tell, but all the satis they died. No sati is alive. So the message is that there are so many voices which need to be heard. And this is how she talks about that society has been divided in various small groups. The concept of strategic essentialism is that in a political method, in a political way, every social structure has various groups of rich people, poor people, discrimination on the caste basis, gender basis. Every people, every type of group and people, they try to make their own identity. So you must have seen that even the rickshaw wala have their union, the vegetable vendors have their union, the shopkeepers have their union, then the horse cart rider, they have their union, the cleaner, they have their union. So this is strategic essentialism, the political method to divide people and then set them in a structure that develops the society. So technically जो हमारा social structure develop हुआ है, that is called strategic essentialism. Social structure में सबको थोड़ा थोड़ा value, थोड़ा थोड़ा identity देखें. It means that one person is not making this thing. It is automatically being developed in a political way. So strategic essentialism simply represents the society of India, which is taking a formation, which is taking a kind of development through its own efforts, having struggle, having class gap, having struggle with other groups and developing the new groups. इन शॉर्ट जो हमारा सोशल स्ट्रक्चर है, छोटे छोटे ग्रुप बने हुए हैं, अपने आप बने हुए हैं, इसको ही स्ट्रेटेजिक एसेंशियलिज्म कहते हैं. स्ट्रेटेजिक एसेंशियलिज्म. सो सून आई बी टीचिंग यू प्लेटोज केव थ्योरी एंड एक और आपको कॉन्सेप्ट मुझे पढ़ाना है, प्रोविंशलाइजिंग यूरोप बाय दीपेश चक्रवर्ती. तो मिलते हैं. आज मैं पूरा दिन बिजी रहूँगा. टुडे आई विल बी बिजी फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द डे. So I thought I should record this lecture and give it to you. So today what you have to do is go to website, read Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak essentialism concept क्या है, and also read the Orientalism concept, right? And watch my video on post-colonials on my main channel. I have discussed all the terms of post-colonials. If you have not seen that, it's your fault. Thank you.